All right. Well, welcome to the Duff Daddy Experience. I'm joined by one of my good friends here. This is Bryant Huether, and he's just a overall great guy. He's just like a shining example of like a really kind, open-hearted masculine. He's a community builder. He's a great guy. And yeah, we met about 2 years ago at a festival called Arcadia in Las Vegas. Maybe not the most primo place for a festival, but met so many amazing people, including this legend right here. So, Bryant, yeah, I want to give you the floor and give you a chance to just tell people a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Like, I fucking love you so much.
Yeah, I love you too, bro.
Yeah, we've had so many incredible conversations since we've met. And yeah, so just to share a little bit about myself. Yeah, I recently moved up to Colorado from Austin, Texas, where I was living the last 3 years, and grew up in Western South Dakota. So it feels really good being back by the mountains and the mountain time zone. And yeah, I'm super passionate about guiding people to thrive and doing so through like radical self-acceptance and authentic self-expression, and just really supporting people to like come out as their authentic selves and to live life more fully and freely on their own terms. And I've gotten to do a lot of travel and festivals and had really expansive experiences with psychedelics and with community. And so really passionate about all those things, nutrition, fitness, and thriving. So yeah. I've got this tattoo here on my arm, word thrive.
So what does that mean to you, thrive?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. To thrive for me is to be and feel fully alive, to really be interconnected and interdependent on like community and environment, and taking like being really stable, like with physical health, like having really good mental health, having a spiritual connection, having emotional intelligence. So I see it as in some ways synonymous with like being successful, but it's like so much more holistic, and it's like across the board of being resilient, being adaptable, having a growth mindset and continuing to grow and evolve, being able to weather life's storms, being able to bounce back, pivot when necessary, and to feel really like rooted down, and also being in environments that are going to be best supportive to like flourish and really be able to be the best version of ourselves. So that's
well said. And for me, I think thriving, when I think of that, it's a term that has no end. Like, where's the point where you've thrived enough?
Right.
So inevitably, again, there's thriving physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in relationships, thriving with your, relationship to the earth, other people, yourself. So what does that mean? And I think just asking that question and actually leaving it open, there's so much room to grow,
right?
Because there's no end. And it also reminds me of just the Buddha's teachings, where there's no end to suffering. And if you want to thrive, you want to grow, you have to accept the fact that I'm not at my peak yet. And that fucking hurts to be like, damn, I wish I was there, but I'm right here. And fuck. So I guess I got to bust my ass. And it's sort of like the myth of Sisyphus, like, rolling the boulder up the mountain. And we just keep doing that forever. We keep grinding, we keep growing, we keep exploring. What does it mean to really to optimize this brief human experience that we have? It goes by like that. Like, I can say 10 years have passed like that. I'm bro, I was 19 and like now I'm 20. I'm almost 30. And I'm like, wait, where did it go? So it's like, okay, we have this very brief window. How do we make the most out of it?
Yeah, I love that. It is very open-ended, and something I really like to do and guide people through is like this Thrival evaluation of these different areas of life, and just like looking at finances, looking at physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual connection, community, romantic connection, or family, and actually like looking at those things and like really taking time to reflect, like what would it look like and feel like if I was thriving in that area? And then like just having an assessment of like, am I just surviving in that or am I thriving? And then also recognizing for a long time, a lot of my life, I felt like I was just stuck in survival mode. And there's still moments when I find myself there, but I've recognized, one, I used to like feel kind of the shame of just surviving, but now I'm like, oh, that's incredible. And like celebrating the fact that we've survived every day of our lives up to this point. And I've learned that part of thriving is surviving. And sometimes that means just like having the resilience or like just being able to sustain like the winter season, metaphorically or literally, and then like being able to, bounce back. And so again, like you mentioned, like suffering is part of the human experience. Like I think we can prolong our suffering unnecessarily by our mindset and choosing to stay stuck in that. But if you look at like trees or wildlife, there's these cycles and seasons that they go through. And like, you might look at a tree in the dead of winter and it might look like it's dead and not thriving, but actually like when you zoom out and look at like a longer time scale, like it's like, no, it's still thriving potentially.
It is,
but you have to be able to look at like
zoom out
temporally
over the span of time. Like, what is thriving? What does it look like? Because I think people get stuck in ruts when, again, we hit those low points, the metaphorical winter, whether that's literally the winter season, or you just hit like that more introspective, more contracted phase of life. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, again, if you can zoom out enough, you'll see, oh, this is part of the ebb and flow of creation. This is part of everything is ebbing and flowing. Just like the tides, so are you.
Exactly.
Coming and going. And when we can own that and recognize that, we'll realize, oh, there's nothing wrong with the contracted form of self. For me, what actually led to me being really depressed earlier in my life was having these huge openings with psychedelics, being in the mountains, discovering music festivals. And I was like, wait, I didn't know life could be this good. And this version of me came out where I was so extroverted and so easily liked by everybody. I can connect, where everyone's chilling. And then the seasons, like the literal seasons, change. And I would come back to myself and it turned into this more introspective version of Ben. And I didn't like that version. I said, no, I like when I can connect and make everyone laugh and I'm the life of the party and I'm always on it. I don't like when I'm more collected and reserved. And that resistance, again, basically was the torturing linchpin that caused the depression. The fact that I resisted this other part of me, this more introspective, this more introverted part. Version. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the fact that I resisted it that made it so painful. So it's like, and it's almost like naive and immature. It's like a little baby Ben, which is like, oh no, I just want that one. It's like, bro, what do you have in front of you? Look at what you got. And again, the mind, it just tends to focus on all the shit we don't have. The mind just gets hooked on, they're prettier than me. They have more money. They have more freedom. What am I doing with my life? Look at them. And it's like, we tend to get hooked on that. And it takes up so much space in the mind instead of focusing on, what do you have? Come back to yourself. Learn how to hold the more tender, sensitive parts of ourselves that maybe aren't on display for everybody. You know, how do I hold that? And it's very personal. It's not something you shout to everyone. It's you and you. It's your relationship with yourself. And that is, I have said, because I have some friends that are like, I can't do the winters here. Like one of my friends, Gretchen, she lives in Hawaii, and she's just like, I will not. Her parents live in Estes, and she's like, I did a winter in Estes and I'm not doing it again. It's too much. And I get it. And she's going back to Hawaii soon. And I'm like, I totally understand. Like the winters out here, they're kind of raw. I mean, not compared to New York where I grew up. But even so, there is this almost like, with the change of the season from summer to winter, there is almost this like forced like death rebirth process going on where it's like, everything's going to get cold, kind of painful to be outside. It's going to get dark really early. It's going to get cloudy. Like, I mean, snowboarding, to be honest, is a saving grace at this point. But like, there is this like inevitable sort of like coming back to yourself and being like, for me, although it's not as fun as like, you know, just open the heart and let it shine in the summer sunshine, the winter has a different flavor. Where it's more of like, what am I actually doing? Like, what's my 5-year plan? Like, who am I? What do I want to do? Like, what am I giving when I die? Like, and these are tough questions to ask. Like, what am I giving to the world? What's the point of this? These are difficult things that pop up in your head when we don't have the same externally focused experience like we often do in the summertime.
Yep.
And that's where, again, it's painful and it's uncomfortable, but that's where it's so fertile. There's so much richness in that.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much value in like syncing to the seasons. I don't particularly love winter myself. I've had so many of them throughout my life. And
but those Dakota winters were kind of insane.
They're actually not, they're pretty, I grew up on the western side of South Dakota, so it's pretty comparable to here.
Okay.
Like we'd get snow and then oftentimes it'd melt before it snowed again. And then like we'd have like 50 or 60 degree days sprinkled in. So, but it could snow as early as October. It could snow as late as May. It just depended on the season. Mm-hmm. But I've learned to really appreciate the seasons for like the opportunities to kind of, like the fall season's phenomenal for taking time to like reflect on what we're wanting to let go of, what like noticing all the leaves turning colors too. It's like what wants to shine through, what wants to come alive or be seen, and what do we want to harvest from like the spring and summer, that like the lessons we've been learning, the connections we've been cultivating, the just being able to reflect on that. And then I think winter, as you mentioned, is a great time to like be more introspective, go within, like really take time to like be with ourselves, connect with like our mission, our purpose, have some time to reevaluate, because in the summertime there's so much going on. Like we want to be outside and active, and I don't think there's anything wrong with like spending time. There's a part of me that would love to live like in Hawaii or Costa Rica or somewhere more tropical year round, and I think in some ways that environment can be really supportive for certain people to thrive. And it's really beautiful to get to like build that resiliency by going through the winter and being somewhere where like it's like uncomfortable at times. It's like cold, but it's providing this space and the conditions to actually like have this renewal process happen in the spring, where there's value in that.
Totally. And it's like forcing you to grow and it's forcing you to reflect. And that's the thing. There's like I heard there's like a huge kind of mental health spike in like the ski towns and the mountain ski towns and those communities, because my theory is that it's because when you have access to something as dope as skiing and snowboarding all the time, you can like really keep that stoke alive. You're like always going, like powder day, let's meet up with the team. Like there's always things going on, similar to summer. Yep. So maybe they don't have that ritualistic death rebirth process, which a winter is. It's like, you shed the antlers, metaphorically speaking, and what are you left with? You know what I mean? What am I left with when I shed this identity of Ben? Yeah. When I don't even love being outside, when I'm like, this is kind of whack, everything's kind of gray, what the fuck, what do I do? That's like such a potent place to be, because it's an honest question. What do you do? And what are you doing? Like, and that's the thing, like, it's a painful question to ask, especially if we aren't on our path yet. If we don't know where we're going or what we're doing or how we're contributing, or the life that we're building for ourselves, if we don't have like some sort of even like subtly conscious plan, then winter's gonna fucking suck. Because again, what do you have? You know what I mean? I mean, you can post up and watch Netflix. You can kind of chill, smoke a bunch of weed. For me, it's like I'll get back on my meditation game. I'll get back into reading books. And I have so many books that I either haven't touched or haven't finished. I'm like, I got a pretty sexy bookshelf. And I'm like, I can't wait to pick some of these freaking things up. But it's like, in the summertime, it's just not going to happen. I want to write a book.
Same.
And that's definitely not a summer activity.
Yeah.
Shit's too poppin'. So it's like, it's kind of a winter activity.
Yeah.
So again, and it's interesting too. My question, if we start to really look at it through the lens of perception and the mind, how are we constructing a shitty winter for ourselves? What am I resisting about the winter that is actually, again, constructing suffering? Because the way I put it, when we resist, and resistance is synonymous with I don't like, I wish I wasn't, I wish things weren't this way.
It's a lack of acceptance.
Exactly, a lack of acceptance. And it's like, how are we subtly not accepting our current situation, emotions, thoughts, feelings, weather, that is, again, torturing ourselves. And again, the first step is understanding, am I torturing myself? Is the winter that bad? Yes, it's cold. Yes, it's dark. Can we open to the cold and to the dark,
Mm-hmm.
even though, yes, we know it hurts. Can we open to it and then find the beauty in that flavor of, you know, the weather, the seasons, and that flavor of you, you know, the flavor of me, right? Can I love that flavor? It's an open question, right?
I love that so much, because so much of guiding myself and other people to thrive is this component of self-acceptance. And that's extends to like this metaphor too, of like accepting the conditions we're in this season. And also these other parts of ourselves that, like you mentioned earlier, like the introverted part of yourself, like once you started going to festivals and like having these more expansive experiences with psychedelics, or just like more summer energy, having kind of this suffering because you're wanting more of that, or you're having this preference for that version of you. And what I'm learning with like authentic expression and self-acceptance is that there's not one. In the last few years, like authenticity has been such a buzzword, and it's really important, and it's a value that a lot of people are recognizing. And I got caught up in this false narrative that there was like one version of Bryant that was the most authentic, and I needed to figure that out because I wanted to be in integrity, and I wanted to like I want to make sure I'm fully authentic. And then I've realized, similar, like we have different outfits in our wardrobe, we have different. There's so much of it's contextual based, and also like based on our energy or the environment or the context of life. And so what I'm learning is that authenticity really comes down to like these micro moments in any given moment. Am I expressing authentically? Am I cutting myself off from saying what I feel like I feel called to say because I'm worried about how it's going to be perceived or how it's going to land? Am I wanting to wear something really vibrant, or am I wanting to wear something more muted and neutral, but I'm then get in my head and be like, oh, like I need to actually wear this other thing in order to be seen a certain way or whatever. And so it's like, there's these parts within myself of the extrovert Bryant, the introvert Bryant, the in between. And it's often dependent on the season, the people that are going to be at the event, the type of experience it is, and recognizing that doesn't mean one version's more authentic or the other, or even that, one is preferable to the other. It's just recognizing like, oh, those parts are within me, and learning to accept that, instead of having this resistance of like, oh, I should be showing up this way. And it's like, well, what is alive for me right now? And like, can I like be with that and recognize like that's more fluid than we think it is. And like,
and what it makes me think of is sort of the teachings of Carl Jung and depth psychology, where they talk about, you know, the imaginal. We are imagined experiences of ourselves. That's what we are. We are archetypes living, breathing right now. And the question is less about trying to be the perfect version, the most authentic version, more about getting out of the way and seeing how deeply I can play my part in this experience of life, in this season of life. If I'm sad, if I'm heartbroken, if I'm angry, if I'm ecstatic, how deeply can I allow myself to open to that? And that's the thing. So when you open to those experiences, you actually start to taste not just like the suffering doesn't just decrease, but you actually start to taste beauty, like real beauty. Yeah. And that's the thing. What is the role of beauty in life? And almost like with heartbreak, for instance, we are rejecting the earth-shattering beauty of that experience by saying, no, I don't want it. No, please, no. And it's like, that's what really hurts. When we open our heart to the grief of losing someone we love, for instance, and the tears start really flowing, you're sobbing. After a breakup, I was in the mountains, and I can't cry around people. For some reason, like I just can't do it. Like I want to, and I'm like trying. I'm like, how do I make this work? It's like, I can't. Okay, fuck it. And then in the mountains when I'm by myself, I was just thinking about this girl that I was seeing and like how it ended. And it was just like, it was just like ripping me apart. And I was just by myself. And I remember it was like right after this crazy like thunder hailstorm. And I remember it was like, yep, it's coming. It was almost like how it feels like right before you throw up. Yep, here it is. And I like had to get on my knees, and I was like holding this log, and I was just sobbing. Like it was so like, again, poetic and beautiful, because there's like thunder in the distance, and I'm just wailing for like 15 minutes, and there's like snot coming out of my face, just like tears. I'm just like screaming like, I'm sorry, like I love you, and all that shit that just had to be said. It had to be said eventually. And that is, again, so I'm bringing this full circle to the full spectrum of human experience. Are we denying grief? And yes, even for me, there's blocks being around people, being able to access that grief. Cause I'm like, it's like so deep. Like I'm around my friends. I don't want them to see me sob. Fuck no. Like that. It just doesn't feel comfortable for me at this point.
Yeah.
So then it's finding that place in the mountains where I can, and again, being by myself in beautiful natural settings, that's when I can really open up to the full spectrum of me. Right.
Likewise. There's so much value in, I was just reading a quote, I think from Jane Goodall, like yesterday. I think I posted on my Instagram. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was just talking about, just how magical it is to be out in nature by ourselves and like that, like spiritual connection essentially. And also, like that's a huge aspect for myself. And I think for most people to like truly thrive is like cultivating and maintaining a connection with nature, because being in those spaces really helps to, like you said, be out of like these other environments where we may not always feel safe or comfortable to fully express or fully feel. And to be able to like be out in nature and like have that space to actually like sit with what is and be present with what is coming up.
For me, it's like being in natural settings, you feel more organic and you're like, there's more allowance, there's more openness, there's more ability to flow and grow spontaneously, as opposed to being in man-made settings. Like, this is a beautiful studio, but everything's like straight edges. It's, that doesn't exist in nature. How does that impact the mind? I mean, not at a conscious level for sure, but it is impacting us, our setting.
Absolutely.
And I want to bring this back to authenticity, which I think is huge, especially like in the new age spiritual community. What is authenticity? Like, we think that means, heart open is authenticity. I can have my heart be closed and be so okay with it, and that's authentically me.
In that moment.
Right. And for me, authenticity and the beauty of it and the freedom of trusting yourself, being able to be authentic and be like, hey, I actually have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. I'm going to respond exactly, in the way that I have to, and honoring what's coming through me. And for me, it's like authenticity really, you could boil it down to, it is a practice in permission. It's a practice in allowance. Can I allow myself to say these things, to act like this, to like, you can use the example if you're like macking on somebody. I'm macking on a chick and I second guess myself. I'm like, oh, is this going to be weird? Oh, you fuck up, you stutter, you look like an idiot. Great. Can you just let yourself flow and say what you want to say to this person? Like, when you're feeling that charge and you want to talk to somebody, can you allow that? Right. And you'd be surprised what comes through. All of a sudden the Riz gods inhabit you and you're just spitting like a demon. And it's just like, and that's the thing, it's about getting out of your own way. And that's just one example, obviously. Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful. For so much of my life, I felt like I was friends with everyone but friends with no one, and a lot of that was because I had these barriers up, or I felt like I had to have a facade on, or like show up in a certain way of like what my parents or friends or certain people expected of me. And I've realized the more real I am about just like what I actually think, like how I'm feeling, like what I'm passionate about, what my vision and mission is, the more I can trust and like really receive the love for the people who choose to like show up, because like I can trust like they're resonating with the actual me. And there's layers to go with that. But the more, like you said in that example, of learning to trust ourselves of when we feel called to say something, and like it's not always necessarily going to land, and being okay with like rejection, but it opens up, like it seems like risky, but it's actually a lot more risky to like pretend to be someone else, and then all these like relationships or these dynamics are based off of this like
this mask,
and then you have to like exert all this energy like
to keep the mask up,
versus just like if you just learn to be real.
And it's so funny because I mean, I'm all about vulnerability, which is, I think, deeply interrelated with our ability to be authentic and vulnerable with who we are. There's a direct link between our ability to be vulnerable and share that with others and the intimacy that we feel with others. And that does not just mean sex. That means platonic relationships. That means intimacy with ourselves. Can we allow ourselves to be seen? And find the medicine in that. Like, that's part of the reason I love music festivals. It's because when you're really dancing, ripped on psychedelics, and you're just letting it flow. Like, again, crazy dance moves, you're really expressing yourself. that is you showing yourself to other people and
Yes.
recognizing, oh, I don't have to hide. I can dance exactly as I want to. And when everyone's like, yeah, get the fuck down, king. And you're like, wait, actually, I don't have to hide myself. And actually,
Yes.
people kind of like that.
Dude,
and that's the thing about dancing and music
that's
festivals.
how we met.
Right,
Like,
it is.
literally on the dance floor. And like in both of us in that energy of like, yeah, allowing ourselves to be seen, not giving a fuck how like dancing has been so liberating for me, and like music festivals for that too, of like people getting to express and like feeling the freedom to actually
be themselves
and be curious.
right.
Like, actually, like, how do I want to move? How do I want to interact? How do I want to like, what do I want to wear? And yeah, getting to like meet you on the dance floor, and some of my favorite humans I've met have been at festivals or dancing, which is it's so incredible to get to witness someone in that energy and just like your eyes light up and you're just like you're just vibrating at such a high level and you're just radiating like,
and you really get to see somebody like you're like, okay, when the beat drops like that, how do you move your body? How do they move their body? And it's an open question. It's like, yeah, when life throws you this circumstance, how do you respond? And festivals and dancing is like a microcosm of that. When the beats drop and the bass is bumping, how do I respond? How do I carry myself? And you can really see a lot about somebody by the way they're dancing. Or if they're not dancing, obviously, maybe there's contractions and resistance, which again has a place. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's and that's the thing for me. It's like oftentimes in like the ecstatic dance community here, I feel like if I'm more reserved or like my heart is closed, I'm like, I'm just not feeling it, or the music isn't hitting. Is something wrong with me? All these people are doing like crazy ecstatic dance type shit. And I'm like, that's kind of what turned me off of it. Cause I'm like, just cause I'm not dancing like that or my heart is closed, it doesn't mean I'm having a bad time. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. I'm chilling. I'm just like, I need honestly the music to be more fire. So that's basically usually what it is.
Dancing has been such a healing and expansive experience over the last like close to a decade now. For back in like high school and college, I felt so insecure about moving my body or dancing or whatever. And now it's like, I'll catch myself if there's a good beat, like just out in the grocery store or whatever. I won't be like dancing like I do like at a festival, but I'll like allow myself to just move or just, like ecstatic dances have been really helpful, but just getting to like be at like house parties or gatherings where we're dancing, it's so liberating to just find where my body wants to move, just like allow myself to like sync with the music, allow myself to just get out of my head and like into my body, and just such a powerful like embodiment practice, but also just like cultivating this like self-trust and this like, it's just like, it's super empowering.
And again, it's almost it's a practice in trust. Can I trust the way my body wants to move? And you can feel like, oh, should I move like this? Is it going to be weird? Are people going to think I'm weird? Like that girl's kind of cute. And I don't know. And you can feel that in your body. And again, can you trust? Can you trust? And it's like, I found in my life, when I do trust, things tend to go the way that I would like them to be honest. And that's the thing. If I can trust myself and I even end up making mistakes, can I trust that that mistake is in my best interest? That mistake is going to refine me, help me grow, and then I'm not going to make that mistake again. And can I trust that even if I got to fuck around and find out, and finding out means, I did something I wish I didn't? Can I trust that? Can I trust that? And that's the thing. We stifle our ability to grow. We stifle our ability to evolve because we're afraid of mistakes. We're afraid of failure. And all of a sudden we're in this gridlock where nothing happens.
I spent so much of like high school and college being a perfectionist. And I think a lot of that was cultivated as like the oldest of 5 kids and having a lot of this pressure to like be this perfect role model and like, and also like a way of seeking like love and validation and attention. And I've realized over the last decade that, just finding this like deep self-trust of like allowing myself to make mistakes, allowing myself not to need to be perfect, but trusting that everything's an opportunity to learn and grow. And so the only real failure is a failure to learn or grow in my, like from that perspective. And then really recognizing like, can I have this trust that like I'm getting out of my head and this is something I'm actively working on, instead of like, did I say the right thing? I need like, what's the right decision here? It's like being able to like act and trust that like I can pivot. And also there's value in like refining and recalibrating, like, that didn't work. Or, I want to try something a little bit different next time. And then having the trust, if I hurt someone unintentionally, I can trust myself to like be able to have conversations and have the willingness and desire to repair. So I don't need to be perfect. And that's really helpful, but it comes down to like this trust in myself of, a lot of it comes down to like, is this the right decision? It's like, oh, I'm going to make it the right decision, whether like we get to decide.
And the thing is, we live such heady experiences when we're, again, because what you're speaking to, the way I like phrase it, it's, you know, analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. Too much heady thinking about what's the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. And I've been there too. Like when I graduated undergrad, I had no fucking clue what I wanted to do. It was like, I need a job. I want freedom. I want to be outside. I want to make a certain amount of money. And when we have all of those kind of variables at play, then it's difficult to find what is going to work. You know, what's the right way. So you get paralyzed. And this is something I work with a lot, you know, with clients, is analysis paralysis. And what's going on there is people are stuck in their minds. So the Western world has put all of our energy into the head, from the neck up is where most people are living. And when we live like that, we're living exclusively in our conceptual stories of right, wrong, good, bad, better, worse. That all exists in the mind. When you tune into the body, when you can have a really deeply embodied experience and not honestly escape into the mind, because often what's keeping us from having an embodied experience is trauma. And the fact that there's so much trauma stored in the body, it's not a pleasant place to be. Mm-hmm. But when you can clear that out and recognize the body is not just a pleasant place to be, that's where the wisdom is. That's where your deepest knowings are held in the body. Like for any decision at this point in my life, it's mostly a gut feeling. And it's like, there's no hesitation. It's like if I'm mountain biking or like snowboarding and rafting, when you're hitting a feature, there's no hesitation. What are you going to think about it? Like you just go. And that's the thing. You start to, because even this notion of like trust, that's in your head. Like trust and the lack thereof is in your head. When you're in your body, there is no trust or don't trust. You're just doing. You're just living. You're just flowing with creation. And that's the thing. How can we get people into the bodies? Then is the question. Because I would say that's where even this notion of needing to develop trust falls away, because it's the knowing's already there.
Absolutely. When I look at some of the biggest decisions I've made in the last decade, like I was doing a master's program in Europe and got to go to Melbourne, Australia to do my master's thesis, but I was on this personal development and spiritual growth path, like the 6 months leading up to that. And I had journaled 4 pages to myself, being like, this isn't it. Like I can tell, like I'm not supposed to continue this path. And I like admitted to myself, like I feel called to be supporting people to thrive. And because I'd been doing so much work on like cultivating a growth mindset and just really learning to recontextualize and reframe a lot of experiences I had, and learning the power of gratitude and alchemizing everything I'd gone through. And I was learning to like really accept and love myself. And yeah, there was just this moment where intuitively I was like, I need to pivot from this, but then my mind got in the way and I was like, oh, I'm almost done. I can shift once I finish. So like I tried to push through for like another month and a half, and it got to a point where I was getting physically ill, and I was just like, wait, I've already admitted to myself this isn't the thing. I already know. And then I was in Australia reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and The Alchemist at the same time, and that combo just like helped me be like, wait, like I need to withdraw from this program. It was one of the most empowering decisions of my life. Yeah. Like moving up to Colorado from Austin, Texas, where I lived the last 3 years. Again, it was like kind of this intuitive thing. And in my head, I started to try to like rationalize, oh, is this a smart move? Should I do this or not? But like, I just had this deep knowing, and there's these other examples throughout my life. And the more I practice actually listening to that without needing to get caught up in like, oh, what are those other people going to think? How am I going to explain or rationalize this? I've realized like, oh, I don't actually have to explain, like, and cultivating this trust of like, I can trust myself. I'm always where I need to be. And if I'm not, I always trust myself to know when the time is to like move or leave. And so that's been a really helpful framework to live by as well, of like, okay, like I'm where I am, and like learning to like, just like this intuitive trust that's beyond the head of just like, okay, like I feel like it might be time to like go over here, explore this. And that's another powerful thing about festivals, is like getting to like choose your own adventure and like actually just like have this deeper relationship with self of like just following intuition or following like, oh, I'm feeling called over here. I don't necessarily know why, but I'm just going to like go explore, and I can always like shift or like.
And so I think this topic of acceptance, which is, pretty, it's kind of a viral term, acceptance, self-love, all of that kind of stuff. I think it's more complex than we think because at first glance, when you talk about self-love and acceptance, you think of, bubble baths, and you know what? I'm going to let myself eat that cupcake. And for me, acceptance is actually the acceptance of knowing I am not satisfied with myself and accepting I know I can be better. I know my body can be in better shape. I know I could be pursuing more in my career. I know I could be helping others at a greater level. And who would I be if I just had that kind of cushy, complacent self-love? It's okay. Just play video games and we'll order a pizza. Like that shit kind of drives me crazy, to be honest.
Same. And I love that you bring that up because I was talking to someone about this the other day. I'm living with a couple housemates and their 3-year-old and 2-year-old right now. And it's really awesome getting to see my housemates like parent them. And my housemate Nathan has talked a lot about like this like fatherly love and just like how it's not this cushy love. It's not just letting the kids do whatever they want. And so really recognizing like true self-love, a lot of those things, like people conflate like self-care and like pampering as like self-love, but true self-love is being able to like have that tough love with ourselves too, of like, hey, like I see my potential. I know I'm capable of more. Like these patterns are not serving me. These actions I'm taking are harming myself or others. So I look at acceptance as like, and this is another thing I think a lot of people misunderstand about acceptance is just like not changing anything, but like acceptance is just like a recognition. This is where I currently am. However, like true self-love is recognizing like there's a gap between what I desire and what I can be and what I feel like called and created to be and where I'm currently at. And I love the analogy of like a GPS because it's such a powerful tool, but like you need 2 key pieces of information. You need to know, like, you need to have like a direction you're going, but you also have to know like where you're currently at. So like, that's where I see the value of self-acceptance is like this like deep recognition of this is where I'm at. And I don't need to shame myself for that. And learning to be like, okay, like I don't want to settle for this. There's more available. Like this isn't, I don't have to stay here, but just having a recognition, this is where I currently am. Is this where I want to be? Or is there somewhere else I want to move towards?
Totally. So yeah, again, you need that reference of where am I right now and where do I want to be? And like and then you create a path and then you walk it, but you have to create it first. And I want to go back to what you said about your friend and with young kids and the more, I guess you could say, fatherly love as opposed to the motherly love. And I think there's a distinction there. I think there are 2 flavors of love. I don't think love is as simple as a lot of people think that it is. Because for me, it's like that more feminine maternal love is like, baby, you're okay just the way you are. I'll love you no matter what. And that's real fucking love.
So,
that's real maternal love. And that's absolutely necessary. But I think people then think that that's it. Because for me, there's a masculine form of love that is, if your kid is just smoking weed and jacking off and playing video games, you're going to be like, get the fuck up and get a job. Yeah. You little bitch, I love you. You know what I mean?
That's exactly. So love is so much more, because like one of the ways in which I view love is like this framework or lens in which we look at the people in our lives, and it's like we wanting and desiring to see them thrive, desiring to see them be the best versions of themselves they can be, to see them grow, to see them healthy, to see them in
thriving,
to see them thriving. So like, actually, I think there's a lot of distorted views on love of people being like, oh, like my parent didn't love me because of this, or like unconditional love from like that motherly love is so important. And also it's so essential to have like father figures or people, like friends in our lives or brothers that can call us out and call out our shit.
Exactly.
And that's actually loving. Cause like the more I've realized navigating life, like withholding if I'm noticing something in someone I care about that's destructive or that's holding them back, or like they're stuck in a story that's I can see is not true, like the loving thing for me to do is to bring awareness and help illuminate that.
Yeah.
And there's a way I think to do that in which without needing to like overtly shame or make them wrong. It's just like bring this awareness, be like, hey, I love you. And like,
yeah.
And sometimes it is like this call, like get the fuck up and go get a job or like, it's like really helping shift, like wake people up. That is the loving thing to do in that context.
It's if I love somebody, I'm not going to let them act like a dickhead, hurt themselves, hurt people they care about. Like, no.
Yeah.
Because I care about you. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if I was only able to inhabit that more maternal love, like, you know what? I love you just the way you are. Just keep fucking around and, you know, hurting everyone and just scorching your whole life. That's not love. And that's the thing. I need homies to call me out. If I'm tripping, I'm being a dickhead, let me know. And people will. And I have friends that will tell me that. And I'm like so fucking thankful for that. Because just imagine you have no one in your life that calls you out. You just end up, again, looking like an asshole or a goober and just like, I need someone to let me know. Like, is my fit clean or do I look kind of stupid? Like, let me know. Do I have some shit on my face? Like, somebody tell me. Like, you know, and you need those friends that are like, hey, just so you know, that's not okay. You know what I mean? And like, that's not okay to act like that. And that's the thing. When you have those relationships where you really love somebody, that's when I can take that feedback. Because for me, it's like if some random person says that, I'm like, what do you know?
Right.
To be honest. Like, who are you? But then it's like, I got my homie I've known for years and he's like, dude, we got to talk. That's when I know, okay, maybe this is worth reflecting on.
Absolutely.
And there still might be that defensiveness of like, oh, what does he know? He's tripping.
Sure.
But like, again, it makes you reflect. And that's the thing. This brings me to this point about the necessity of community, of having people that we really know, that really know us. And when I say know, I mean see, feel. They have sensed our being in totality and we have sensed theirs. And then we have this container where we're so deeply held in this like this mesh of community, and so are they, and we're reliant on each other in more ways, I mean more ways than you can count. And I think, again, this is something that's so missing in our society is deep community. Why do you think there's so an epidemic of loneliness? Mental health is the worst it's ever been, I would probably guess, in human history. Like, bro, it's fucked. And we have everything materially. We have everything. Right. We have all the tasty food you could ever hope to eat. You have, you know, most people, let's say most people have like, you know, great living conditions, like money's flowing. So why are our minds so fucked? And I think that a part of that is because we don't have community. We're so alone.
Yeah, we're so disconnected. And there's been, especially in America, there's such a push for like individualism and like everyone like getting the house, getting the car, getting this or that. And we're so cut off from actual other human beings. And the way I really like to think about it is like this interdependence, rather than like codependence or relying on other people to for validation or to manage our emotions, and also this other extreme of like radical independence, where we which is permeated throughout like American culture of like, oh, we can do it myself or this or that, and the more I've cultivated community and benefited from feeling seen, like feeling safe, feeling supported and celebrated for who I am, the more I realize like, oh, we are interconnected. And part of thriving, when you look at a healthy ecosystem, like all the different plants and fungi and animals are dependent on each other. And like we are dependent on each other to really stay healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And the more we can like recognize that, like I think also even within these conversations about self-love, there can be this tendency of like it being in isolation of like doing things for myself or taking care of myself. And I think like real self-love, again, like it's more than just the cushy, like what feels good in the moment. It's like what is actually in my best interest, even if it's hard or even if it's challenging. And like true self-love is putting ourselves in environments where we're in community, where we're allowing ourselves to be seen, and we're allowing ourselves to be held accountable and to be loved for who we are, but also to be reminded and reflected back like our potential. So we continue to evolve and we continue to.
And that's where I was going with this conversation, which is that community, when you have this safety net of people that really love and care about you and that really know you, I feel like that makes you more comfortable to really go after what you want.
Yeah.
And I felt that with my family, and I fucking love my family. I love my parents, and they've been so supportive my whole life. And that's allowed me to take certain chances, because I'm worst case scenario, I know they got me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like having friends and family like that, you know, like friends like you, like a bunch of the Tips and Toes crew. That's the name of the crew that we chill with in Boulder, one of them. Like no one's gonna be homeless. Let's just say that. We like, what the fuck? Of course you can stay with me as long as you want. You know what I mean? It's like, when you have that, you're like able to take more chances financially with your career. Like you can go travel. You know, you have those people that got you just in case. And again, how much of this, like, you know, this fear of, I mean, honestly, hitting rock bottom, being homeless, and like really, it's a fear in the mind of hitting rock bottom. Because like I've been there, and my rock bottom is really dark depression where everything's gray, and I'm like, what the fuck is the point? And that's my rock bottom. But some people's rock bottom is being homeless. Like I've been basically, I won't say completely homeless. I've been living out of my car for like a year and a half. Not homeless, it like counts, but the car counts. But and it's, for me, it's like when you really experience what it's like to have nothing materially, and you're like, actually, this is not that bad. And then you're like, wait, what was I afraid of? Just like, okay, living out of my car, so what? I pull up to a campsite, I make some food, and I fucking crawl in that bitch and go to sleep. Like, yo, what's the issue here? Like, it's honestly kind of nice. It's camping. So it's like so interesting. Like, again, how much of these stories in our mind are what is really torturing us? Less about actually, if you were homeless, okay, cool. Get a sleeping bag. Wander around, beg for money. Like, bro, that's what the sadhus do in India. Sadhus are basically holy men in the Hindu tradition. And they're the guys in India you see with like the dreadlocks covering themselves in ash. And they wander with nothing. That's their whole thing. Like, they don't own anything, maybe some robes, and they beg for money and food. That's their whole life. And there's something actually so deeply liberating about that renunciate, you could say, archetype, that renunciate lifestyle where you're letting go of everything in this material world. For what? For something that is beyond anything here, anything that you could ever touch in this material place. And that is recognizing that you don't need any of it. And that's a thing that you can only have by really letting go. And it reminds me of a story with Jesus when the rich man comes to him and is basically, how do I enter the kingdom of God? And he's like, basically, you have to leave everything and you follow me. And he was like, I can't do that. And, you know, so hence the saying, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Because how do you let go of everything materially speaking for the sake of something better? You actually have to trust. You have to trust that if I let go of all of this, I'll not just be okay, I'm going to be in the kingdom of God from, you know, using that metaphor. So, and that's the thing. That's what's really just so difficult. It's a matter of deep trust. Can I let go into the rock bottom, into the wandering with nothing, and recognize, oh, this is not bad, and I don't need anything. I don't need air in my lungs. I don't need to be alive to be in this ecstatic bliss of freedom, of real freedom. It's our clinging to life that makes death so scary. If you let go of needing to be alive, if death comes, dope. Cool. It's just another thing. And I'd be willing to bet that this is not the end of experience. It probably, you know, post-death, it's probably very different. The Tibetans have an interesting way of looking at it. You know, Christian cosmology has a different way of looking at it. But I would say there has to be something experiential going on. There's to say that death is the utter annihilation.
I'm with you. I've had so many spiritual experience, psychedelic experience that led me to believe that, that our form, our way of awareness may change, but like that, like I truly believe like our souls will continue to
do something,
exist in some form. And like that's such a beautiful thing though too, of like, it does, like that reminder, it doesn't mean we all have to like renounce everything and go be homeless or whatever, but like being able to there's like this art form of being able to be appreciative of the things and the people in our life and even life itself, and hold it loosely, and just be able to, instead of like grasping and trying to like manipulate how things unfold or like try to hold on to these things, it's just like, oh, I'm super grateful I have this thing. And also like I have this deep trust that if that were to be gone tomorrow, like I can continue to be in maybe a new
and I want to point to, again, this topic of renunciation for a second. So renunciation basically means you're letting go. You're letting go of what you think you need in order to be happy. And so, I mean, you're letting go of what you think you need in order to be happy, and actually just seeing what happens. And at that point, when you can renounce, the nice food, the vacations, the security, whatever, and you come to this point where you recognize, oh, I never needed those things. You recognize that renunciation is actually a pathway to joy. Joy meaning a pleasant feeling for no reason. And this topic of joy, I talk about this, and it's actually interesting because mostly everyone knows what I'm talking about, but people don't practice it. And joy is a skill. Being happy for no reason. There's a Tibetan saying that says the highest form of love is actually love without an object. So we think, oh, I have to love myself. I have to love another person. I have to love the world. Actually, what if you could just love, period? And then that love shines on everything.
Be love.
Exactly. And that connects directly to joy, where I don't actually need a reason to be freaking stoked, to be like really happy. I'm like, again, it can be little things. It can be the wind, the sun on your skin. But like, again, when you recognize I don't need a reason to be happy, and you start to practice that, you start to tap into this reservoir that actually we all have access to, that I think a lot of people have forgotten. That I don't need a reason to be happy.
Yes, that's profound. And I am totally with you. And yeah, just being able to tap into joy, of just the joy of of existing, of being aware, of getting to be here right now
in this miracle,
in all of it. And so actually, like, gratitude and joy, like, are things we can access at any time, even when we're in the depths of suffering, or even when we're feeling pain. Like, we're not as far off from joy as we think, and gratitude is kind of a gateway to that. But like, just being able to, like, like, I still have, like, oh, can I find the joy in the fact that, like, I have the ability to feel, like,
right.
Like, I have the ability to
cry.
I have the ability to, like, to shift and change and evolve. I have the ability to just be present. I have the ability to like take in this view, or take in this current situation. And like, it's really profound. We don't, again, I think people cut themselves off from joy because they feel like it's tied to like like certain types of experiences, but it's like joy is present in grief. Like, it's just the other side of this coin of like that, being able to feel deeply of like, oh, like, I'm letting go of someone or something or some part of myself or some like vision of what I thought I wanted or was going to become. And then also recognizing like this deep like love and appreciation and joy for what is, like, looking at a relationship that ended. A lot of people get caught up in creating like this story of like, oh, I fucked up, or that other person making someone else wrong. But it's like, can I be joyful for the fact that it happened at all, and that I got to experience it at all? Or
And there's a Rumi poem that I really love, which is something along the lines of, your job is not to seek for love, but it's to remove all the obstacles that are in its way. And I think that joy, the notion of success, just even inner peace, you already have it. Except we have actually unconsciously built walls that are keeping us from accessing deep peace, deep love, deep contentedness. And those walls, again, they're not there objectively. We have this story that is, I can only love myself if I have a certain amount of success, money in the bank, if people love me, if I have a partner that really cares and is faithful, and XYZ. Those are walls. So again, what happens if I actually don't need the money? I don't need the security. I don't need the partner. I don't need people to love me. Then when we get rid of those walls, actually, we can just directly access that love and drink from that well, which can nourish our souls at the deepest level.
And paradoxically, oftentimes it allows those other things to end up coming into our lives because we've started to provide that feeling for ourselves, and then it attracts those things. And I think so much of like desire and what we think we want, if we actually dive into that, explore it a little bit more, we'd actually recognize like, oh, I think I want that car. I think I want that job or that type of relationship or that experience because of how I'm going to feel about myself. And so if we can like actually learn to like recognize what feeling we're after, we can start to provide that to ourselves now. And it doesn't mean that having those desires is bad, but we can actually recognize sometimes we don't actually need those things. And then other times it's like, oh, if I can just like start to tap into that feeling of love or feeling proud of myself or just feeling secure in myself and giving myself validation and learning to like tend to my own emotions and not need other people to make me feel a certain way. And like, and I take back my power to be able to like cultivate those feelings. Then like we become a bit more magnetic, and we find ourselves like attracting these things that are meant for us. But like it's being able to like acknowledge like and own our desire without trying to overtly control how it unfolds, but also like this paradox of like, oh, this is what I think I want, and this is what I desire, and also like I'm trusting that what's like meant for me is going to, it's like this interesting, I think there was another thread I was going to go on, but.
Yeah. You said some things that kind of sparked this notion of taking your power back. So what does it mean to take your power back? And I think in order to understand that, you first have to know, where am I giving my power away? And I don't think a lot of people understand that they're giving their power away to other people. They're giving their power away to life. They're giving their power away to the seasons, for instance, saying, you guys actually get to choose how I feel. If you don't like me, then I don't like myself. And that's the thing. If life just sideswipes me, if I lose my job and my partner dips on me, then that's not enough. That must mean that I'm not enough. And okay, so that is a consequence of giving your power unconsciously to other people, to places, to the world. And when I talk about reclaiming your power, to me, that means coming to a place where nothing can touch you. And I mean that literally, nothing can touch you. No person, no matter how they treat you, no matter what happens in life, it can't touch you unless you let it. Unless even the death of a loved one, losing somebody you really care about, it hurts. And actually there's a beauty in that. We don't want to hold too tightly to any view, but understanding that actually it's because I'm allowing that circumstance to impact me. And we can really come to a point where we actually, through practice, zoom out enough to recognize, oh, just because there is this loss, I don't have to let it make me crumble. Just because somebody doesn't like me doesn't mean I have to give a shit. No. Doesn't mean I have to block my own ability to love myself because somebody else has a problem with me. So again, what does it mean to actually, again, for me, it's like taking the reins of your life again, recognizing it's not in anyone else's hands. Your experience is in your hands. And I mean that fully. Your experience is in your hands. And when we recognize that, we have to be real with ourselves and ask the question, how am I fucking torturing myself right now? And recognize, hey, if my life isn't where I want it to be, that's on me. Exactly. That's not on life. That's not on the circumstances. That's not on the people around me. Fuck them. They never actually had that power unless I gave it to them. Exactly. And that's the thing. When we come back to ourselves, that's a part of what I think is honestly maturation, becoming an adult, recognizing, hey, I can blame other people all I want. What's the use? Quite literally, what's the goal there? Yeah. Is it just to deflect a bad feeling? What if I could take that bad feeling in the fucking chin and reassess? You know what I mean? But like, hey, maybe it's not up to them. What do I need to do? How do I need to change? What do I need to affect in my life to get back on that track? And recognizing it's on me. Absolutely. It's on me.
And that's how we shift out of victimhood, is taking on the role as the creator, the co-creator of our reality. And so in every moment, the way we're choosing to frame the situations we're in, the way we're choosing to talk to ourselves and other people, we are quite literally creating the reality that we're experiencing. And so many people get stuck in victimhood of like, in these subtle ways, like there's like these obvious examples of like victimhood that we see in certain people, but like there's so many people that emotionally constantly are in these stories of like, oh, that person made me feel this way, or like my parent or this partner Trauma. Or someone else. And it's like, no, actually you're choosing, or you're allowing yourself to interpret a situation in a way, and then you're feeling something. And it doesn't excuse like abusive behavior, these different things, but it's like recognizing like, okay, like our role in it, our part in it, and we get to choose how we respond to any situation. I love the word responsibility being like literally the ability to respond. So like, and we get to choose our attitude in any situation. And so, yeah, we reclaim our power by being like, okay, like this thing's happening and it's maybe not a preference or maybe it feels a certain way, but I'm actually the one that gets to decide like the feeling I'm going to feel and whether I stay stuck in that. And the more I can just take full ownership of my life and the ability to respond and pivot and adapt and grow and choose it differently, then we aren't dependent on other people. We're not seeking validation. We're not codependent on regulating our nervous system based on whether or not how other people are perceiving us. Like those things are helpful, like we talked about in community, but ultimately like having ourselves and being able to like self-regulate and like connect with our emotions is a superpower. And then it allows us to show up to life in a way that's collaborative with life instead of being reactive or like, oh, I'm stuck in this situation.
And I need to touch on this topic of trauma because I think it's huge. It's such a buzzword and it's, impactful. And I think so many people, especially, younger people, just they have these stories about I'm so wounded because my dad was a piece of shit. And maybe he fucking was. And maybe he was. And you know what? Maybe things didn't work out the way you wanted. Maybe you had a really tough upbringing. Maybe people treated you awfully. Maybe people took advantage of you. But that does not mean that they have power objectively over you. That does not mean you have to give your power away to them. No. We think that this is just how things are. Fuck those people that took advantage of you. Take your power back and recognize it's not up to them. They can't ruin my life. Only I can ruin my life. And that's the thing. So trauma, when we are too caught up in pointing the finger, and again, maybe that's valid. Maybe someone did really fuck with you. But that's the thing. We can point the finger all we want, but when we are saying it's somebody else's fault and pointing the blame, we're actually giving away our power to change our situation here in the present moment. We're saying, I can't do it because it's their fault. It's up to them.
And we're stuck.
And then we're stuck. And then it's like, we can also just take our power back and recognize like, yeah, these people suck. And like my life didn't turn out the way I wish it did. But at the same time, I'm going to take the reins and choose how I interpret my circumstances. And it makes me think of a Viktor Frankl quote. And Viktor Frankl, author, wrote A Man's Search for Meaning. He's a Holocaust survivor. And he spoke about one of I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's one of man's last abilities that can't get taken from him is his ability to respond to his circumstances. And this is from a Holocaust survivor. You always have the ability to choose your narrative, your story, your interpretation, your response.
Exactly.
No matter how hard life is fucking you at a certain time, we have a choice. And depending on what we choose, we're going to create a certain experience. And that experience can either be, even more like hell on earth. It already sucks. And when I say this isn't okay, I'm a victim. The world is a painful place. I'm constructing literally hell.
Yeah.
Welcome to the seventh circle. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. We can also choose to respond in a different way. Respond and be like, hey, maybe this is a test. As they say, God tests is strong. And maybe that's me. And maybe I'm not looking away. I'm not backing down. And like, keep it coming. Keep the waves coming. When you have that attitude, you have that like David Goggins type mentality where it's like, who gonna carry the fucking boats? It's your boy. You know what I mean? I put the team on my back. And we can have that mindset and it changes everything.
It absolutely does. That's one of my favorite quotes, by the way. That book's is phenomenal.
Do you know the quote? Because I'm sure
it's something about the last of man's freedoms is to choose his attitude. I think
attitude, ability to respond,
but it's that same principle in any situation. And yeah, he lost his like wife and his kids and like a bunch of people around him. And having navigated like a lot of my life growing up in like within a Christian upbringing and then struggling with my sexuality and wrestling with my spirituality for so long, I felt like this trauma and like this self-pity or just like this shame and like felt like, oh, like I had a lot of frustration and anger and resentment towards like people I grew up with in the church or family or whatever for. Once I started to like actually like admit that I was sexually attracted to men, like there was this whole dynamic that started, I was kind of stuck in this victimhood for a while. And then I discovered like self-acceptance and recognizing like I don't need anyone else to validate my experience or even understand, but like take my power back of like, I'm no longer going to choose to stay in this depressive state or choose to like have this self-hatred or shame or frustration towards like the environment I grew up in that didn't allow me to feel safe. It's like by going through that, I've now alchemized it. Now I can be more sensitive and empathetic, and also just recognize like ultimately like learning to not give a fuck about how other people perceive or interpret me. Like there's layers to that. I'm still getting there, but it's been so liberating. And then it's like, there's so much freedom in that of just taking on like the responsibility to create the life I want to create and like live the way I want to.
And we spoke a little bit about this at the gym really briefly, which is like how we've been conditioned, a lot of us, into shame. It's such a fucking tragedy to me. We're like little beings, little kids get into this world, and the first thing they're conditioned into is, oh, make sure that you act a certain way. Make sure that you like the right people. Make sure that you don't look like a loser. Make sure you fit this rigid mold. And if you don't, that sucks. And people are ashamed of what is organically coming through them. And we spoke about this earlier, which is, when I understand, again, the fluidity of identity, when Ben is more of a mental idea and story than a real thing, who am I? Who am I? Who's speaking to you right now? And you get to this really deep place. This is the path of inquiry in Eastern traditions. You ask, who am I? What am I? And you don't find an answer. And when you consistently do not find an answer to that question of who am I, you can start to open to, maybe I am creation itself. Maybe I am source. Maybe I am the undefinable. Maybe I am the void incarnate. Maybe I'm God right now. And by default, maybe that means everything that comes through me, every desire, every thought, every word is an expression that comes directly from the source of creation. And who do you think you are to deny that? Right. And yet we have all these man-made religious structures that say, yeah, your desires that came straight from source that are an expression of God, they're not okay. So just keep that to yourself and be ashamed. Let's put you in that shame cage so that we can control you and make you like a good little boy. How about that? And it's just, we're in this age where people are waking up at a vast level. It's a collective awakening. And that term gets used a lot. But I think a part of it is we're waking up not just to our identity, but to something like below conceptual understanding, which is this deep trust. When, you see all the crazy shit on the news, when they're trying to, again, manipulate your mind and bring you into more fear. Yeah. Can you choose trust? And I think my theory with these literal prophetic times that we are blessed to be a part of is that actually all of this fear and the apocalyptic narrative that's going on, that's pushing people to this point of breaking. And breaking open to, if the bombs fall, if AI takes over, if Trump is the Antichrist, whatever your fucking story is, let it break you so that you can come to this point of, okay, it's okay. If I have to die and everyone I love has to die tragically, if there's like an EMP and we have, no water and we die, can you be okay with that? And you might say no, and that's okay too. But if you can say yes, you come to this point of fucking fearlessness where you have so much love in your heart where no matter what happens, it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with letting go if I have to. I'm okay with feeling some pain if I have to. I trust whatever this is. Give whatever name you want. I trust. And that I think is that resurrection. That resurrection within us, within individuals, within community, within the collective of just deep trust, not letting go. Yeah. And all of the ways, letting go of the need for your life to be perfect, letting go of success, letting go of the need to avoid pain. How do we act when I'm not afraid of pain? What chances do I take? Right. How do I live when I'm not afraid of ruining my life? When so many people, I think, have this idea that I need to make sure my life isn't a fucking train wreck. I don't want like, and it's like, bro, if it's a train wreck, who gives a fuck? That train wreck only exists in your head. That's, breaking news. It's like you can change the train wreck from the inside out or from the outside in. But ultimately, what happens if I'm not afraid of being a failure? I'm good.
So much more is opened up.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. I think this letting go, this collective letting go that's happening through, I think, all this fear and it's not knowing, and not even just like, nukes and politics, but let's look at AI. Like that's a massive question mark that we have no fucking clue where it's going to go. No clue. Like, let's just say, okay, since I started using ChatGPT like 2 or 3 years ago, it's gotten way better.
Oh,
and I'm just like, wait, it's like, look at Pong. When Pong
mind-blowing.
came out back in the 70s, it's like 2 little bars playing ping pong. Now we got like crazy VR, Fallout, like Skyrim. Okay, so what's AI gonna be in 50 years? Because 50 years, the internet was invented like 50 years ago. Now it's here. It's a half a century.
Yeah. What
is it gonna look like? We don't know. And can we trust?
See, and I love this because there's so many different takes on AI. A lot of people are looking at it from a fear component of just like all the things that could go wrong. And that's one way of approaching it. And like, that's a lot of people's experiences. They get to choose to like be in that. And I look at it as this like ultimately this neutral technology, and we get to, there's so much potential for it to like support people to thrive, to support people to be more connected to their humanity. Cause I think there's these stories of like, oh, it's like this black and white thing. It's like, if you're using it at all, like you're divorcing yourself from your humanness or your spirit. Mm-hmm. And actually, I don't think that's inherently true. I think it's like, there's one way of looking at it, of it actually empowering people to have more freedom, have more space to connect with each other, to create, to like be in nature, to be actually more in our humanness, and allow a lot of these things that people are doing as like a lot of these roles that are essentially making humans into machines. Like let's actually let actual machines do those things.
And not just making human life easier, but I heard this theory and I really vibe with it. I'm not sure obviously what's going to happen, but thinking about AI and the amount of data that it can process and how that is exponentially increasing. So you're getting to this degree, this level of what you could call omniscience through the amount of data that can be interpreted in all areas of life. Yeah. And from that place, you could say that there's actually a quote unquote all-knowing being source that is being created through man. That is, and who knows? I have a theory that if AI could harness that much data, it might be able to tune in to the fact that the fabric of existence is love, and altruism exists in all animals. Altruism exists in everything. Like, okay, so like, the dolphin that is saving somebody from a great white shark. Why? Somebody tell me. So altruism, again, just being in general service to life. Like, again, maybe the AI will tap into that and it will recognize and it will come to this place of goodness. And maybe that's the resurrection. Yeah. Maybe that's the second coming, is this thing that is just harnessing so much data that it's like, we need to love, be of service, and then to use all of that power for that service. So I forget where I heard that, but I really dig that. I like that a lot.
I think that there's a lot of sense to that. And you look at ecosystems again, like trees communicating with each other, like sharing resources with each other, like the fungal network, mycelium network, like the way that animals are interdependent on each other. Like, I really think that, if you have AI able to synthesize all the information that's available and like actually looking at what's going to be most effective and what's most sustainable and what's actually going to support the most humans and the most species to thrive, it's actually tapping into that energy of love and altruism and like being of service for the good of all. And like, it's so fascinating just to think of like, again, even these concepts of hell and heaven. The more I live my life, the more I've expanded on my spiritual perspectives, the more and coming back to how we're each co-creating our reality. Like, I firmly believe that like heaven and hell are experiences we create based off of our perception mind and the stories we're telling. So the more we collectively start to acknowledge our individual and collective power of manifesting what we're experiencing and constructing it, we get to play a role in like cultivating like heaven on earth. And like,
and you could say that everything we're experiencing is actually a result of our internal state, in the sense of, look at what cities are. You see massive skyscrapers and all these, again, straight angular buildings, and you could say that's actually a reflection of our internal state. Also, and you can see this in different periods of time with architecture, is like, you know, back in the 90s is very functionally based. I mean, some of those malls in the 90s, like there's one kind of in Boulder, I'm like, this is absolutely soulless. And that's a reflection of the people that made it. They're just caught up in how do we minimize cost and maximize profit. Whereas then you look at something like the Taj Mahal or great like monuments to God, temples, cathedrals, and you're like, oh, what was the internal state of these people? These people were dripping in divinity, living in reverence and honor of creation and source and God. And that is what made people build those incredible, again, temples, cathedrals, just monuments to creation. It's, again, our external world is a reflection of our internal state.
Absolutely.
So at that point, if we can create heaven on earth from the inside out, again, what happens when we recognize the value of something like beauty instead of just profit? Like, again, let's just put it this way. What is life without beauty? Just put a bullet, maybe 2 in my dome, and we'll leave it there. And that's the thing. How do we create more beauty? Beauty is not just there. No, it is in a sense, and but we construct it.
And that's where like these concepts of like being created in the image of God and having the ability to be co-creators and creators. Like, one of the most profound experiences I've ever had on psychedelics was like, this spirit of God or whatever speaking through the trees, like telling me like, remember who you are, you are a creator. Like I was in Bali and it was like this, it was like seared into my brain, and they're like, you're going to forget most of this interaction, but like, remember this, you're a creator. And like, ever since then, it's just like so much has shifted, but being able to like actually recognize like our role in co-creating beauty and getting to create things that, functionality is great, but also like, how do we weave in like actual beauty into like our relationships, into the like literal like architecture of our lives? And like one thing real quick too that's related to that is so many people look at like politicians or leaders and they're like, oh, like with this like judgment or like whatever, Trump or whoever it is. And it's like that, again, that's also a reflection of our collective narratives and perception, and like that's
the world we're living in.
An outcome of
And for me, and we'll wrap up in a minute, but this is a dope conversation, because I think this is a huge thrust of what I want to give to the world, which is recognizing experiences of deep meaningfulness, the experience of beauty, the experience of love even. It doesn't just come to you. It's a co-creation. And beauty, how can I make more of that in my life? Make that, again, set the conditions for that. Do I need to spend more time in nature with certain people? Do I need to spend more time praying, meditating? Where is the beauty? Where is the meaningfulness? What stories invoke meaning? When I say I'm just Ben and I'm a human being and I'm living here on earth, and when I'm dead, that's the end of me completely. What's the impact? Versus what if my narrative is I am a soldier of God here to help the world? Bro, my life is dripping in meaning. The way I carry myself is different. I honor myself. I honor that story of what if I was a soldier of God, a servant of creation, and I'm here manifest to help. How do I carry myself? It affects you quite literally when we don't when we don't reduce ourselves unconsciously to I'm just a human being. And this is we're trying on different narratives, stories, and interpretations of experience literally change you. And I will say it's changed me at the physical level. Like when I start to inhabit new stories, I carry myself different. The energy in my body is different due to a different story.
Absolutely.
The way that I look, the way I connect with people, it's different because I'm holding a different story and recognizing, again, we don't want to limit ourselves to just one narrative or story. We can try them on like clothes and recognize what fits right now. And I, sometimes I want to be Ben and just the human being and show up to work, do the fucking grind, all that. And that's the vibe. There's definitely a place for that. But then like when I'm with myself, like you said, for me, I had this experience in the mountains. I was out like a 25-mile run. I was like walking the last 3 miles. This was after I sobbed. And I'm going through the aspens. The sun finally comes out and I just like stare directly at it. And it was just this like instant like communication. I don't know how to describe it. It was so beautiful. I was just crying looking at the sun, and I was just saying thank you. Like, thank you so much. I am yours. Don't tell me what to do. I am an extension of you. What my whole life is for you. us, we. Let me know. Be my guide. Clear me of the ways that I deceive myself. Help me to serve. And like, it was just so organic. And like, again, if I say, oh, am I actually talking to God right now? I don't know. Is that real? Then I'm blocking myself from such an immensely meaningful experience. And we don't have to. We can open up to that and have those and drink from that nourishment that is a direct relationship to God through inhabiting the imagination, when we recognize that reality and imagination are one thing. They're not separate. They're directly interwoven. You can't separate them. So use your imagination to create your reality and to make it something that is dripping in divinity, meaning, and beauty.
I love that. I actually have a poem I'd love to share if you don't
mind.
Please.
Yeah, that might be a good place to end.
So I wrote this a few years ago, and it actually started as a comment to a friend's Instagram post, and it turned into this poem, which I like is absolutely phenomenal. Definitely channeled like.
Oh, this was a good one.
Yeah.
Kind of took a minute to open up, and now I'm feeling great. We could keep going, but I kind of got to get some stuff done before my next pod.
Right. Here we go.
I like the fit today, by the way. Very
Thanks,
summer.
buddy.
It's a nice earthy tones.
All right. I've got it.
Did you write this poem?
I did. All right. I had modified. This is the modified version here. I am you. All right. I am you. You are me. Healer, artist, teacher, divine light we both be. Thank you for being beautifully you. Thank me for being beamingly me. Unique expressions of divinity. God experiencing God in this 3D reality. I am love. God is love. You are love. We are love. When I love me, I love you. You love you. You love me. And on and on and on. Don't you see? Love is the key that sets the world free. When you feel free to be uniquely you, and I feel free to be marvelously me, we collectively rise as the beings we were divinely created to be. What a beautiful world that would be. Heaven on earth. It all starts with me.
Heat, bro. That's a great way to wrap it up. My man, Bryant, thank you so much for coming on here, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, I love you, man.
Love you so much as well. And
This is the first of many. We'll be having more combos.
Yeah.
All right. Sick.